A Light in the Darkness Chapter 42, Fan Fiction by Azazyel. The name-taker array was not a gentle thing. If I didn't know better, I would think whichever sick fuck made this plate entirely way too much Dead by Daylight, as the array itself created 8 large spider-like legs that would pierce whatever was pulled up against the back post the array was placed against. Then, after the 8 spider-like limbs pierced its victim, it would shred and clone bits of the soul of the target it was attached to. Then it would slurp up the target's soul bits through the limbs, piercing it like a straw and deliver the soul juice to the central array piece that would unscramble the information gotten from the soul scrambling that was designed to get past any defenses protecting the soul. "You think the soul juice tastes like grape?" I asked as I pointed at the vial of slainish purple glowing soul juice. The array was analyzing while the demonette all but shriveling with its literal essence being torn away, and with it being a spiritual entity, it was all the more effective. "Jake. With you, I have eaten more ridiculous things than I could imagine in the name of getting stronger. But I will rip out my own heart before I drink the distilled filth, coming out of one the Prince of Pleasure's servants." Ellesmere immediately denied and gave me a dirty look for even suggesting such a repugnant thing. But after a couple minutes of the demonette silently screaming in true agony that even it couldn't find joy in, the array loudly beeped like a microwave going off, and the spectral limbs piercing the demonette faded away into mist as the jade stick that held on the demonette's information stuck out for myself to take. Now let's see what your true name is," I muttered, taking the jade stick, and instead of delving into the demon's insane life and information, I used the equivalent of a search bar in the jade stick's magic and isolated the demon's true name. "Dragdralen," I muttered, and I felt a drain on my chi, and as I felt the tiny, drained amount of chi become a collar around the demonette's neck, it screamed as a black line as thick as a thumb burned its presence onto its neck to symbolize me owning it. Fiddling with my connection to the demonette, I realized that even with owning its true name, it was kind of a blunt instrument, as I, at least for now, couldn't overwrite the demon's consciousness with a mere thought. "Ellesmere, any suggestion as to what I should do with this now?" I asked as I kept experimenting and then had its crab-like arms melt off its body and grow normal hands and just generally make it a bit more human to see how much control I had over its physical body. "My love. It's a slainish demon. I can see you are making it appealing to a human's mind, but don't get attached," she advised me, and I realized that I had already made the demonette into a bit of a waifu by getting rid of its monster bits, giving it an equal-sized large bust, and just generally making the demonette okay to look at, and not wanting to run screaming. "Fuck, you are right. Well, I can't get attached to my food," I said, scolding myself as I facepalmed, and then I pulled the demon off its bindings and began dragging it behind me as I yelled back to Ellesmere and the disciples. Ellesmere gives the disciples a lesson on the types of demons to be found in the warp. "I am going to dismantle this demon for reagents," I yelled as I used my chi, binding the demon to keep it still and unresponsive despite its terror at realizing I wasn't going to just make it a fuck pet or something. Even as I mentally went over crafting recipes, I could use a demonic soul, for I realized that other than using the demon as a supplement in a pill or as fuel for an array, that most of anything I could make would be firmly in the evil cultivation camp, like taking its skull and tying all its essence into said skull to refine it into a pretty decent dharma treasure that could grow with the more souls I feed it. But such a weapon wasn't really all that useful, as I needed to eat the souls and flesh of the demons I killed to get stronger in the fastest and best manner. Even if such a weapon could be useful against my fellow humans and Xenos, in the end, I already had my sword and other spell arts if I needed to kill them. So, once I took the demonette into the demon kiln, I quickly just killed it by ripping its head off and then used my heavenly demon swallowing art to break the demon down into a mist as its essence broke down and attempted to escape back to the warp, but being in my demon kiln it could only fly around as I spent the next couple minutes swallowing its soul. I was right. Definitely a grape tinge to it, I said as I wiped off any imaginary remains of the demon off my mouth, and then, seeing Ellesmere through the sex monitoring system, dutifully teaching the disciples about the demons of Khorne who had the best demons for my disciples to enslave after they get strong enough, I decided to just keep cultivating. Or hell, I should get a couple and stuff them inside some sparring automatons so the disciples have something that wants to kill them, give a very good workout, and said automatons wouldn't stop said beating until the disciple was half dead. And should the disciples disable or destroy the automaton, they could get a reward. I thought eagerly as I mentally noted that down. Thus, while I left the more technical teachings up to Ellesmere about the classifications of demons and their ilk, I just opened up another portal randomly in the warp and continued eating the smaller chaos spawn that dared to enter the portal to the material world. And after a whole day of devouring monsters, I finally felt another barrier in my cultivation break down and my chi swell as I reached the 4th level of the true realm. Let's go see how Ellesmere is, I muttered as I felt her presence in our bedroom and just went straight there to see how her teachings went.